Uh, oh shit, that's pretty close, brother. All right, we back. This basically gonna be part two of being in the world and not of it beyond suffering. What you are ultimately is beyond suffering. What we are ultimately, we talking about ultimately. Sunshine chick, what's happening? What's happening? What we are ultimately is beyond suffering. And I'm about to give you some of my personal recent experiences, bro. This shit is actually funny. But of how understanding a non-dual perspective of reality um can catapult you towards less suffering. All right. Ultimately pushing you towards no suffering at all. Because where does suffering happen? For my last talk about 2 weeks ago on this topic, we brought up the Bhagavad Gita. We read from the Bhagavad Gita, and we talked about the Atman. We talked about Brahman. We talked about the self. We talked about pure unconditioned consciousness. So this is going to be leading towards the same goddamn thing. The problem of suffering lies within our identification. What etheric, my boy caught the beginning of one a day. The ultimate, not the ultimate, but where suffering takes place is why it takes place is because of identification, wrong identification, wrong knowledge and right knowledge. You have wrong knowledge and right knowledge. Wrong knowledge is going to have you mentally suffering, right? And what do I mean by wrong knowledge? Wrong knowledge is the identification with the body mind complex. Obviously, we can run through what the body mind complex is. I am this body. I am the person who went through this as a teenage child. I am the person who is happy about this. I am the person who is not happy about this. I find this pleasurable and I don't find this pleasurable. You're gonna say, what the fuck? That's what everybody doing. Right. Exactly right. Exactly the fuck right. The fuck right. You get what I'm saying? That's exactly what we all are doing. And that's an error. That's an error. That's what if you get into the non-dual knowledge, that's what they will call an error. You have placed your identification in the wrong place, which is what's that which identifies. That's the ego, the ahamkara. The ahamkara is what's placing limitations, just like on this screen, the top and the bottom. That's what it does. So it doesn't get everything in a goddamn room. So it has to delete, distort, and generalize. That's the factions of the ego. If you understand neurolinguistic programming, you understand that's they don't call it the ego, but if you understand this type of knowledge, you understand like, oh, okay, so that's what the ego is doing. We can just lump it all together and call it the mind. The mind is placing identification. The ego is placing identification. The mind and the ego is wanting things to go in a specific fucking order. That's why we plan in life, right? I'm not telling you not to plan. I'm telling you not to be so attached to your plans because something is going to pop up. You can say, well, I'm working to get this $1 million today, or I'm working to get this $1 million, and when I get that, all my problems gonna go away. That's not true. Have you ever met a motherfucker who's worth millions? Let me post this in Discord. Have you ever met a motherfucker who's worth millions? They problems don't go away. They get way more. Like I always tell y'all this story. I met the guy who owned, I don't know if I should keep saying this, what's the name, but the guy who owns something that everybody knows about, at least those who work out. Um, he told me like the more you own shit, the more shit owns you. This is the same shit that they tell you in all the ancient texts. You know what I'm saying? But he had to come into realization by going through it. You see what I'm saying? He had to come in realization by actually going through it. Let me put this in the Discord. Let everybody know we live. Where's my Discord app? Oh, So, and that's because of the identification, because we're going to get into it today. We're going to pick back up in about Vegeta from what we did 2 weeks ago, right? You have to, what we're not understanding is that things change here, right? Things change. And I would just read, remember, my girl just reading last night another non dual text, and when it was breaking down that not all things change, there's one thing that is changeless. Think about this. For us to say that things change, there has to be something that is changeless. Think about that. When you say everything changes, somebody changed on me, this changes, nature changes, for you to say something like that, you are automatically insinuating there is something that does not change. Think about that shit. So what is that that does not change? Let me put my shit on do not disturb. So what is that that does not change? That's what we're getting into today. What is that that is not changing? Something that does not change. If everything around you changes, your computer change, your car changes. You know that. It was perfectly fine in 1986. Now it's 2025 going to 2026. That car is not the same no more. My face, what it looked like 12 years ago, is not the same no more. The world is not the same no more. The grass that you grew that just grew back that you just cut last week is not the same no more. So we know things change, but what is that which does not change? Are you going to say me as a human body? Well, you know you change because you came from a kid, from a newborn to a kid to an adolescent, teenager to a young adult. Some people are still young adults, and then you come into adulthood, then you come into old age, and then you dead. Yeah, yeah, I know you don't believe in it, but you die. This body die. So we experience all of these changes, right? So if you watch see, but you don't say when you look at a picture of you as a kid, you don't say, "Look at that boy." Oh, look at that boy. You're like, "Look at me." Hmm. Why do we say "look at me" when we look at a picture of us from 20 years ago or from when we were first born? Why do we still say "look at me"? But when we know that thing has changed, you are not that baby body no more, right? What is that that is still saying that is me? That is saying that is I. What is that? Because we know the changing and the changeless cannot be the same thing. The changing and the changeless cannot be the same thing because the changeless has to be the one that's observing that which is changing. My niggas. The changeless has to be the one that is the changeless has to be the one that's observing the changing. So for you to know that the word is changed, you have to be the one who has not changed and seen the world change. For your friend to change, for you to say your friend changed and switched up on you, you have to be the one who has not changed. Am I making sense? Somebody hit that like button, drop something in the chat. But what is that that has not changed? But you still say that that's me in that child in that picture of a child. When you're looking at a picture of yourself, you still say that's me. But what is that that is the me that you claiming? Right? What is that that's the me that you claiming? Because we know the body is changing. So what is that that which is changeless? What is that that is changeless of the body? Well, hopefully I was gonna get somebody in the chat to say something. Because y'all know. Because you've been here before. So what is that which is changeless? What is that which is observing the ups and downs of life? The ups and downs of Prakriti, nature, the ups and downs of the matrix. What is that which is observing? Well, we know the answer. I ain't getting nothing in the chat, but we know the answer. It's what they call the Atman, the self, the change list. There we go, my boy Theory. Guess he probably ain't had wasn't able to be accessibly ready inside the chat at the moment, but he know pure consciousness. That is the changeless. It does not change. It's always there. I always tell you. Let's use this analogy, right? Even when you say you don't know, man, I don't even want to use that one yet. But so let's say you know something, right? Let's say you come into knowledge of something. How do we come into knowledge of something? Through our five senses. Think about it. You don't know what something smells like unless you use your senses. You don't know what something looks like unless you use your senses. You don't know what something feels like unless you use your senses. You don't know what something tastes like unless you use your senses. Era. Peace, peace, peace. Standing on P. Unless you use your senses. Unless you use your eyes and your thoughts to read something in a book. You don't know what's in that book. Unless you read the sign, you don't know what that sign says. So, to come into knowing of something, you have to use your five senses. But we'll also say things like this: oh, I wasn't conscious of it, I wasn't aware, oh, I was unconscious. But we'll say we know something. So at what point does, but we'll say consciousness rises and falls, or you come into consciousness and you out of consciousness. When the fuck could you ever be out of consciousness? Peace, peace, Asaja. When the fuck could you ever be out of consciousness? When? Because do you come into knowing of something and then consciousness takes about 3, 4, 5 seconds to get there and then boom, you conscious now? How? Or when you don't know something and then you finally turn around and then know something, when does consciousness show up? Consciousness is already there. You don't wait for awareness to be there. Soon as you know something, you are in awareness. When you don't know, listen, when you don't know something, consciousness awareness is already there because you're aware that you don't know. So when the fuck does consciousness leave? That's why I say it's hard. It's so simple in search for the divine. It's so simple that it's difficult because we're looking for something so mystical. I'm not saying mystical experiences don't happen and they're not real, but we looking for something so profound like a fucking Harry Potter movie. We looking for something that pleases the ego. The mind wants to see pretty colors get exploding and goddesses walking up into you in your face said, "Hey, I'm a goddess. I like you. We're buddies now. I'm gonna walk beside you." That's what we looking for. And not to say those things are not real and those things, because they very much so are. But I'm saying they exist inside of your consciousness. If you peep that anytime you see a goddess just as real as you see in me, or a god just as real as you see in me, where is it happening at? Inside of your awareness. It cannot happen outside of your fucking awareness. These gods don't exist outside of consciousness, which means what? Their very root nature is within consciousness. This is why I say I fuck with the principles. If you understand the principles, you can get the rest of that shit. If you want to get deep into that shit, that's why I say I don't know all the details and don't need to know all the details if I know the principles. When it's time to get the details, it's okay. I understand my ground, my foundation is what? The principle. So when I'm going through this shit, I make sure it lines up with the principle. And it has no choice to line up within the goddamn principle because all is consciousness. You can call it Maya, Prakriti, Ganesh, Shiva, Nu, Atum, Kefra, Osiris, Isis, God damn it, Gilgamesh. Whatever fucking gods you want to name, they don't exist outside of consciousness. They can't. Nothing can. And nothing ever will. Which is an oxymoron. But anyway, so our suffering is happening because we are identifying with what the mind and the ego is saying. The mind and the ego wants things to be perfectly outlined and etched. That's why we set plans. But ultimately, not saying you don't, I'm not telling you to do not set up plans. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is the way that this reality works, which we all know. I'm not telling you nothing new. The way this reality works, hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. The way this reality works, there's always going to be something you didn't plan for. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. It's going to fucking happen. And if you are attached, heavily attached emotionally to the outcome, suffering, that's where suffering happens. Because you're identifying with the mind and the body complex. You're identifying with the mind and body complex. That's where suffering happens. The only place suffering happens is in the mind and body. Matter of fact, suffering is is a state. Anyway, that's happening in the mind. Now, damage could be done to the body, and it registers to the brain and then to the mind. From the brain, it shoots it up to the mind. Oh, I'm hurt. Feel pain. Feel sad. Emotions. Like I always tell y'all, just like a baby. When a baby fall, the baby look up and look at everybody else and run into like, oh my God, are you okay? Then the baby start crying. It doesn't even know it's supposed to be hurt. That's the same thing we're doing with life. Sir Impeccable says, I don't make plans because it creates suffering. Not you. I don't make plans because it creates suffering. Life really is a cinch. It's not that hard. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. So it is heavily dependent upon attachment. This is what non-attachment is. Yes, you got those monks that say non-attachment don't get no pussy ever. Won't be me. I love my woman, and we gonna get nasty. So, but it's but the you know what I'm saying. This is placing non-attachment on it because you here's non-attachment as well because you understand all is one. See, the ego does this. That is that, and I'm this. We create separateness. We create separateness. When you create separateness, that's where the suffering happens. We're about to get into some of this today. We create separateness. That's where the suffering happens. So when you say, "Oh, I'm a left side, dark side nigga," okay, got you. I'm a right side nigga. Okay, got you. Love and light nigga, dark side nigga, or I'm a divine masculine, divine feminine. Okay, got you. Got something for that ass. Prakriti, nature, got something for that ass. If you're gonna say, guess what? I'm non-dual, pure conditioned consciousness. Okay, got something for that ass. And that's what happened to me this week. And I'm gonna give it to you raw. It got something for that ass. Oh, you not the body mind complex? Okay, Mr. No way. I got something for that ass. Divine Empress. Peace. S-O motherfucking P. Hey man, can I get some SOPs in the chat? We ain't drop no standing on principles in the chat in a minute. I ain't gonna keep going no more until I get some SOPs in a motherfucking chat. Where my people at? Where my folks at, man? Where we at with this shit, dog? Where we at? I need them SOPs in the chat. I need them SOPs in the chat. SOP, okay, TO23. My dog standing on P. Let's get some more SOPs in the chat. Hassad, put that SOP in the chat. Sir Impeccable, put that SOP. Motherfucker. Motherfucker. Ethereal with the super dripped out type SOP. You see what I'm saying? It's so motherfucking P in the chat. So, Sunshine Chip with the SOP in the motherfucking chat, dog. We got 11. Let's hit that like button, y'all. Please hit that motherfucking like button because we standing on motherfucking principle. And what is that principle? Pure unconditioned consciousness. And here's the thing about non-duality, bro. At least the version of it I've been studying and it just sits right with my spirit, which is the psyche, which is the mind, which is built up off of past life impressions. Yes, I went that deep into detail because that means something. It's effortlessly. It's a effortless path. Not in the sense that you don't have to work to get an understanding or let it settle in, but it's like you're not looking for something. You don't have to sit and meditate for 40, 50 years. You don't. Because what are we talking about? We're talking about consciousness. We run right through our daily life experiences, the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state. We run through it. We run through the. That's some bullshit, bro. Yo, yo, yo. Okay, there you go. All right, we back. We back. We back. It did the same shit. It did the same shit last time we talked about this topic. But damn, what did I leave off at, y'all? Yeah. So I like this non-dual shit because it's effortless. It's really like you don't have to go through all those. Not saying that you should, because I agree that what I'm saying, a lot of it should be done, but it's effortless because we can run through our daily life experiences and come to a point of understanding like, oh, consciousness is always there. That's why I said it lifts up a lot of shit because guess what? Everybody has it. Everybody has the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep experience. Everybody has it. Okay, so we good. All right. Everybody has that experience. It was something else I was about to say about that. But we didn't know what we were looking for was consciousness. We thinking we need to learn every aspect of this system and then we become this super enlightened being. When that is only fucking up the goddamn mind. Because everybody's mental temperament is not for that. You see what I'm saying? Because now what I'm thinking about in real life, I'm gonna keep it straight 100. Like a lot of people don't want to have God realization. Let's just keep it real. A lot of people don't want God realization. People just want to not go through suffering in life, which is impossible because it's going to happen. But you can detach away from that